Greetings and welcome to another installment of the LangoPod Ghanongga learning series, and we are learning about Ghanongga, a language from Solomon Islands. I'm Peter.
I'm Tyler.
And we're going to try to pick up right where we left off. Let me have to adjust these margins a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so the last sentence we did, which we got through pretty much all of it, was, so when the Choiseul people came to fight, the Maluku people stayed on the top of cliffs, and I spoiled Batu Patu by telling what Batu is, which wouldn't have been easy to know from the text. But hopefully demonstrated that sometimes it is good to appeal to outside resources.
For sure.
All right, now we've got our next sentence here, which is...
But they did not call them to climb up. They didn't say, come up and fight.
Now there we've got Ngeke, surely means 3PL negative, followed by Gundi,
yes,
which must mean say 3PL subject. So we haven't seen a bunch of this.
That's right. We've seen these pieces. Yeah.
We've seen all the pieces. And so it's filling it in. I'm going to put they say.
To them. D is there on the verb, and then ria as a pronoun is there. Following word. Ngeke, they not.
Well, it's 3PL subject, 3PL object.
K is negative.
Well, the ria is the object, I'm saying. So Ngeke presumably is
right.
3PL negative, say 3PL, 3PL object. So it's, but they did not call the Choiseuls to climb up. They didn't say.
Oh, you think D is a subject?
I assume
or is it...
it's a subject, but we can't know from this exact sentence. So I'm just leaving it as 3PL.
Okay.
And then Ngeke, I don't think we have an entry. But if we did this, it gives us.
That's
so for the person who didn't know what I did, because you can't see my keyboard, I pressed the space bar between G and K, and it recognized both pieces. So this is like they didn't. Do you like the gloss?
Oh, I see. We have. They didn't is that's what I'd recommend. We have the basic form of the negative as ake.
Well, we found it as by itself before.
But it could still be composite. I don't know. Could really just be ke. A little.
I think
so.
It is ke, and that one of the things that's going on with Ari and Ani is that is inserted before singleton CBs.
Okay. Could you control click on the neg marker? Let's just, we don't have to do it now, but I want to point out what you can do. So we have the question that you're faced with a lot when you're analyzing is what's the basic form whenever there's some kind of alternation or variation. We have a form ake that we feel is negative, and this form ke. If you click down where you have the allomorph ke, lower part of the screen, then those two blue circles show up there on the left. I think the upper one, no, it's the lower one. been a few seasons since I messed with it, but that button swap allomorph. We may have done it once or twice before. Always good to do it again. You'll need to revise your analysis many times as you go. So if you decide that what you have as a variant really is the more basic, that's a button you could push, and then it just switches places for those two items. The entry will now would then be called K.
I believe we did it with an earlier word.
Yeah, we did it at some point.
Well,
let's keep it the way it is for now.
Yeah, let's keep it like this way for now, but I suspect that there may be a point in the future where we do it with a lot of the ani, ake, the things that seem to be.
Yeah.
And this, to me, I have a little hypothesis about something similar going on in Roviana. Though this is not completely confirmed, so this is just something I'm putting out there. If you're a Roviana speaker or a linguist who studies Roviana, you can weigh in. In the original, I should say, in 2002, there's a book, Oceanic Languages, was published, and inside it contains a bunch of sketch grammars of little described Oceanic languages, in addition to other things. But one thing that makes the book so special and cool is that it has all these sketch grammars. One of them is for Roviana, written by Simon Corsten Oliver, who I'm a huge fan of, and the work that Simon published in there helped me a ton getting into Roviana. And Simon noticed this alternation between agoi and goi, which is the second singular pronoun in Roviana, and arau and rao. And Simon proposed that when it's in focused form, that's what he was calling it when it was sentence initial.
Okay.
It got the and then when it wasn't, it didn't get it. And it's one of those situations where that is true, that's what's happening. But my hypothesis is that it has nothing to do with being focused. It has to do with being at the beginning of a sentence.
Right.
And that it needs a vowel to precede G and R. Because I noticed that when my Roviana teacher, Glow, taught me the word gona, shoot, as in like to shoot a spear or an arrow or something, or a gun, I guess, if they had them. So that kind of shoot, that I had transcribed originally my notes with a schwa in front of the G, which Roviana does not have a phonemic schwa, and I am schwaing some of the final because I'm an English speaker. I'm speaking English for the rest of the sentence, but that's not necessarily what happens. That most languages don't do that necessarily. It's something that could happen.
Yeah.
So they don't have a phonemic schwa and really little evidence of allophonic schwa, yet you get it there in front of these G and R words, at least sometimes. R being a trill, G being a voice feeler fricative. So something unites that class of sounds to where they want it. So that might be something that's just being formalized in the writing system here in Ghanongga, and it could be a similar thing going on.
I like it.
Probably not a shared innovation, though. I would guess that this is what linguists like Sapir would call drift. And drift means when languages in the same language family will undergo similar or identical language changes, even though they've already separated. I believe the famous example is the vowel changing inflections in English and German, which that didn't happen when they were one language, but happened later separately, which I don't know. Tyler is our German teacher here at Lango, and he might be able to confirm that.
Well, yeah, it's hard to really say whether men, whether that was in place. It's interesting. The starting point was the same. Let's not let's
not
focus
get
on
too
this
much
though.
into German. If you really want to know, request a seminar or a workshop. We can do seminars and workshops on any topic in linguistics, and Tyler's an extremely knowledgeable historical linguist on Proto-Indo-European. That's my opinion. My grading of Tyler is extremely knowledgeable. So one endorsement, but I think others would agree. All right, so it automatically recognized na here. When I clicked on it, it suggested article, but now that I've clicked back, it's not suggesting it. So what I got to do is I can lowercase it. I could try to bump it.
Yep.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, there now it recognizes it.
No.
It's not giving me a gloss, though.
But they did not call them to climb up. They didn't say such and such.
I'm going to call this art. Now, it doesn't seem like a good place for an article. What does kana mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But they did not call them to climb up. They didn't say.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a form of the negative too, a new form. Right, because it says they didn't say. We have they didn't call in the English. We have two negative clauses. They didn't call them. They didn't say. As I bought my cuckoo. What about the cuckoo? Cause climb. Oh, the night. How nice.
Cause climb. They didn't call them. I don't know cuckoo or kana. I am puzzled here.
A quick search.
Let's do a search. So we're going to search our spreadsheet. I'm going to do first for cuckoo. We get one hit. I suspect we'll get more with kana. We do not. Well, we do get it.
Win some, lose some.
Okay, because we're missing part of the translation. Here's what's going on. After the Ria, we get come up and fight.
They from Rauru, yeah.
So one of these words means fight.
Ah.
But I am tempted to say, let's leave it for another text. There's surely going to be more stories that involve fighting and war and things like this. Though I don't recall one. I don't know if I've read every story in that book. And I don't recall them off the top of my head. But if we get to the very end and we've done everything and we're still stuck with these two, we'll take a guess. And
Yep.
again, we might look up Austronesian. We might look in dictionaries of related languages
Parang.
to confirm. Yeah, because the na here, the reason I say this na is a bit weird is because it would be in the same place as you would get a kind of aspectual particle if kana was a verb and ari was a pronoun. So, again, in Roviana, na is used as a common noun article, and they have a difference between sa and na for common nouns. And this is not one of my stronger areas of understanding in Roviana. I've noticed the difference. And oftentimes I get na when it's something indefinite. But remember, they're not marking definiteness per se. So I think it might be specificity or something. If you know which one it is, you get na. But also that it's a specific one, but maybe not no, something like this. In any case, na is also used as an aspectual particle preverbally in Roviana, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does something like this in rare circumstances in Ghanongga too. We shouldn't be surprised that we've seen na all over the place doing a lot of different stuff. Because we aren't getting codas, it's a CV syllable, it's using N. Tyler, do you think there's a language in the world that doesn't have the sound N?
Yes. They're rare, but I think there are languages without phonemic nasals.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I seem to recall vaguely reading about one.
I think it could be possible, but I don't know of an example.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think that there's a tendency for Montler said in class one day, that's Dr. Tim Montler, who Tyler and I both studied with at one point, that like as an example of universal, I don't mean trivial, meaning it doesn't matter, but just that like, oh, inflectional morphology tends to become coronal. Well, this is really just about the tendency of sounds to move towards the end of the tongue. So this na being everywhere, where na is made with the, I don't know, the tip of the tongue, the front of the tongue touching the front of the mouth, more or less. It could be nasal, like it could be touching the teeth, it could be touching behind the alveolar ridge. Like where the N is placed might be a little different, but the basic idea, it's going to be such a common sound, it's not that surprising that na would do a bunch of different things in the same language.
Let's add some more sentences here as we're talking. Do you want to know what Google says about that question?
What does Google say?
There are 2 languages without nasal phonemes. These languages happen to be Maka and Kulut. Oh, they're neighboring languages.
Where are they spoken?
I've not heard of Maka before, but Kulut is Washington State.
Oh, okay.
I believe in the Twilight movies that's the tribe that is in the area, the Kulut tribe.
Is it the Kulu?
I'm
This
pretty
is
sure.
a crazy Tim Montler coincidence because, of
Yeah,
course, he works in the area with Saul, Clallam, and Saanich.
That's right.
And he's mentioned, the only reason I know where the Twilight movies take place in Forks, Washington, is because he mentioned that it's somewhere near where he works. So what a coincidence. And the languages in that area have some very unique features. So
let's add some more sentences while we're talking here to be productive. Now, looking at the Wikipedia for that language, it says Quilut language is one of only 6 known languages lacking nasal sounds. So I'm going to follow that note. Oh, Marianne Mithen has an article about that. Oh, her book is about that. That's the reference there.
All right, so we get ao and ow in this. I don't know
Oh,
if
I
ao
think,
and ow are meaningful or if they're just, hey,
yeah.
in
But Gehuni is meaningful. Oops.
Yanguni is meaningful, and I'm betting you that as soon as we start, it already has a good idea what's going on. They said it.
Now, in my experience, it does not propose analyses of word forms it hasn't seen before. So that makes me suspect that we had seen a Gehuni and just left it incompletely analyzed. Look for it later. It'll come up, I'm sure. They said to it or to, how about to it there? They said to them. But I think it's going to be, they said it. I think the knee index is the quote. They said it.
Remember that this ni tends to have more of a dative meaning than the regular, because there's another way to do it, remember? It would be gengua if they said it.
That's true.
So gengu ni is they said
To them, maybe not third singular, but just third person dative. This knee.
Well, I hate to keep cheating, but I have a guess here. So, not a guess, just some relevant information. So, we have ia. That's cool. That's a third singular object. That makes sense. In Ghanongga, we are getting a third plural object. We're getting ria. Right? And that's really cool because we get adi for the, so it all makes sense. It's not what you get in Roviana, though. In Roviana, for the third plural object, you get e by itself. So when you get ni by itself, it's dative third plural object in Roviana. So I don't know if that's the case. It clearly wasn't that way in other cases, but it might be that dative has third person dative object, but singular and plural is not part of the information that's bundled there. Something we can't know for now. I'm down to leave the gloss as third singular object, and I think they said it, or they said to the group and treating the group like one person. So, but I think I'm just going to said to.
Said to him. All right. Said to. Said to him. Said to the group. Yeah, that's a good sort of compromise.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it as they said.
And then we get
now, so recognize in the future.
We're going to get the word for man here for the first time in our text in 7:4. One man went down and was killed. We've surveyed this text, but I don't think we have an entry for it. You can, in this lexicon or dictionary, you can alphabetize it by any of those columns. We have it here by head word. At the moment, T-O is going to be higher up. Yeah. T-O. Just go to the Analyze tab, see if it knows it.
It
so
doesn't.
This is not from Spanish.
No.
The word from.
All right. We know TO is going to be, I don't believe it's man, I believe it's person. Though it's translated
man
as
in the old word.
Again, right. I might be cheating a little bit. But you remember our previous conversation about gendered pronouns? In the history of the culture of people who speak English, going back thousands of years, it was super important to constantly indicate someone's sex or gender. That's less important in other cultures. I'm not saying they don't. Every language has a way of expressing this sort of information, but what sort of information is obligatorily coded is not the same in every language. And I happen to know that this is a reflex of Proto-Oceanic for human person. And I know the Roviana thing, which I believe I've told you, is that they have words for kind of in-group, out-group that are both reflexes of this.
Now, there's something interesting in the first word in the sentence. I believe that we've seen maka as one, or was it make?
No, it was maka. This is actually the point I was going to drive towards. I was just clarifying on Tio. Yes, 100%. Here we have one as make and not as maka.
So it could have to do with whether it's a human being quantified or non-human. Because when it was one day, that was maka.
And my guess
could be a fusion of kind of article, personal article, right?
That's right. My guess is it's a fusion that you will end it with A when you're using
Right.
numbers for a person versus for non-humans. So do we just go ahead and call this
So
an
would we?
allomorph of one or create a new entry?
I wouldn't. I would break it down. I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's an allomorph because it has grammatical significance. That distinction there. It would be maka plus some eh.
I guess
It
the
seems like to
question
me.
is allomorphy mostly reserved? They're treating morphology as though all morphology is a result of the same forces. There's a Flex is treating it this way. Or we are in our Flex file. I'm sure that Flex actually has the capabilities to separate these two. But when we say allomorphy, first of all, we mean that allo is change, morph is form. So the other forms for the same
Not change. Other, yeah. Not change,
different
but other.
other
Different
form.
form.
That's pretty straightforward.
And for our viewers, maybe we should introduce this concept a little bit for our viewers with familiar languages. What's your go-to for allomorphy? Is it the plural marker?
Well, this is where I'm going, is that there's two sources of allomorphy, and I guess we could call it, depending on how you feel about it, I would call one true allomorphy. I will reserve the term allomorphy for this sort of phenomena, and for the other one, I would call it new entries in Flex. And if I was doing the English plural, as in the S, Z, and schwa Z found in cats, dogs, and judges, I would call that allomorphy. But I wouldn't say that two
different forms
an
with the
allomorph.
same function.
Wait, no,
You wouldn't say what?
That's not what I want to say. I guess what I'm trying to say is if I think it's conditioned by syntax or meaning, it's not really an allomorph, in my opinion. It's a new entry. So
yeah, I would say new. This is going to be one.human or something.
now in this case, both things are going on, right? So you're getting new information. You're getting that a person being counted, but it also affects the phonological form or the phonetic form of maka. So maka A presumably is being squashed down to make. So how we want to treat this in Flex, this is actually one of my points when we teach this program at the university, is you have to make decisions in Flex or any sort of morphological analysis that ultimately reflect how you think language works. There's no such thing as a theory neutral description. There only is a theory neutral description because there's linguists who claim to have theory neutral frameworks but these are theoretical frameworks that are so supposedly theory neutral. So it is a bit contradictory. I am down to call this a new entry rather than propose that it's Maka and A being smashed together. Although I acknowledge that I do think that's what's happening. Why might I propose a new entry? Because it's going to make our Flex file easier to use. I've tried it both ways with different descriptions in the past, and in my opinion, sometimes just creating new entries helps you find things quicker. And what we want to know is that Maka and A aren't happening on their own. Once we see that happen, we'll go back and revise.
Oh, I mean, we do get maka elsewhere. That is happening on
Maka A, Tio, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
You don't get Maka and A separate.
Maybe we do.
Maybe, and we'll change it if we do.
Right.
But for now, we're going to assume we don't.
Right.
I'm going to create a new entry called one.pers. What do you think?
We use it. Well, that works, yeah.
See, we have it for E there. We have and we have Tinoni for person.
Tinoni and Tio, those seem to me like one is borrowed from a related language and one is a native inheritance, maybe. Tio, Tinoni.
Going to be hard to know which one, though.
Oh, let's add the meaning one to the gloss, though, because it's not just.
I just wanted to show that we already had some person going on. That's all.
In fact, Maka and E seem perfectly plausible sources of this word make. It could be a fusion of those two. Not but E is in there. A and E will often come out as the vowel that's between them in various languages.
All right, so I'm in the Austronesian Comparative Dictionary. I went to the Oceanic, Proto-Oceanic words, and I'm looking for something like this. I'm not seeing it, though I claimed to know what it is. But I learned what it is from Pete Lincoln in Face to Face in University of Hawaii. I have great faith in him, so I believe he's correct, but it might be something that's the same as the Proto-Maleo-Polynesian form. That's why we aren't finding it right off the bat here. So I'm going to go check Proto-Maleo-Polynesian. Skip right to T. Looking for TI, because I believe that's going to be the thing that you use to find it. And I'm going to see if we can figure out, for fun, is it possible that... I don't see it.
Do you know the gloss? Do you want to search by that?
I think that's what I'm going to do next. I might even go to Finder List and look for human or person. So the Finder List is how you look for the human, or for the English words.
Okay. Hugh.
I'm going to start off with human.
Human. Tau pangani.
Do we have pangan as smell? What is our... Oh, parang. That's right. Okay.
Omanga is smell, but paranga is speak.
Okay, none of these are the right one. I'm going to look for person. So even if you've been using this for a long time, don't get discouraged if it's hard to find things. There's a learning curve to this. Imagine writing it.
I'm imagining Bob Bless starting on it before computers were able to do what they are now.
Certainly true. That's how it went. He started on it before computers. And many may know Bob is one of my favorites. And Bob worked for the... he worked on a dictionary by remembering which words he got. He's pretty impressive. Now, I am ashamed to say I am not recognizing it anywhere here.
Happens.
This isn't helping me as much as I'd hoped it would. They might have it as man, and it might just have come to mean human in some of the languages.
That is what man originally meant. Not a male person, but a human.
It was a generic word originally.
I think we've even talked about it on this in our series here. Let's go back to the...
Look at that. Proto-Eastern Maleo-Polynesian.
You got it, man.
The ancestor language to Proto-Oceanic, Proto-Eastern Maleo-Polynesian. There you can see it's broken down into Schwing, South Halmahera, West New Guinea, and OC. They don't have many reflexes in here.
Cool.
And it may be because Bob Lust saw TA as the Roviana version, decided it wasn't a retention. But Tinoni in Ghanongga, I am willing to bet it's a direct retention from Proto-Eastern Maleo-Polynesian all the way to Ghanongga.
So what about...
And about Tio? I have a suspicion what the difference is between Tinoni and Tio based on Roviana, and it is not something that I think could be discovered in a text.
Okay.
Which is frustrating for our linguists out there trying to do everything from a text. But you really can't remove people from language and still expect to understand it. But we can take this pretty far. For the sake of our text, I'll propose something here. We could revise it later. In Roviana, they use the word TA for person or human, and they use Tio for like one talk. Now, one talk is a term common in Melanesia for people who speak the same language as you, right? Or your close community members. It can be used in a variety of ways, so I'm not trying to be prescriptive here. I'm describing the way I've seen it used. And Tio, is something a Roviana person might use for another Roviana person, where they might say TA for all non-Roviana people. Right? TA could be used for Roviana person too. Like, and again, I'm not being prescriptive. If you're a Roviana person, you disagree with my description, let me know. I'm dying to know. So my guess here is one man went down and was killed by the Choiseles. I'm guessing that the one man was a Maluku man. And that Tinoni is the generic term for person, and Tio is used for one talk. People who are
tribesmen.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to put the entry as person and then go to the definition and say person, one talk, in group.
Yeah.
Do you like that, or do you want to have a different gloss for TO?
I would give it a different gloss. Yeah. I personally like tribesman,
Is that,
fellow tribesman or something. Well,
I don't know how that term will be perceived. I don't know if that's a term that's inappropriate anymore or not. I have no idea. To me, obviously, someone who just loves words and isn't that involved in political discourse, I don't know. That's why I wanted to use one talk, but then our
most, I don't know. I'd be surprised if most Americans know what that refers to, but
that's
who's
what
our
I mean. It
audience
wouldn't
really?
be very accessible anymore. And we're not for sure that I'm correct on this TOT only thing. They could be just allomorphs. So I'm tempted to just put person and then in a note say, I believe this is for fellow tribesmen.
Yeah, I would want the two glosses of these words to be different, but it matters little, I think. Not walking away out of protest, but for a refill. I was going to say, you know, the title of the thing itself has the word tribe in it, and the proviso about man was what we just said. It used to be gender neutral, likely used for fellow members of the same community.
I'm going to put after that, comma, tribesmen. Is that singular?
Countrymen.
Single
Word.
Change the gloss to
WANTOK.
Oh, you want to
do it? I mean, we can teach. Let's do that.
That's
we
fun.
can teach those English speakers who don't know this wonderful word how cool and unfamiliar yet actually known it is potentially. It's used in is it used in Solomon Islands Creole?
It is. Now the Creole is
I learned about
called solo pigeon. So it's many Creoles of English are called pigeon. So this is common. And I believe it's used all throughout Melanesian pidgin.
Mm-hmm.
And this is based on my experience at a one talk church in Australia, where they had people from Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, and Vanuatu. So I suspect that it's Pan-Melanesian there. All right, let me bring my text back up.
Tell us the etymology of it.
Of one talk?
Yeah. I thought let's teach our audience this not quite English term.
Well, I believe it's lexified from English, one meaning one, the number one, and talk, though it's spelled T-O-K, it's just T-A-L-K in English, and one talk means same language, I believe. One language.
Oh, the Bahuvrihi compound, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
So somebody who has the same talk as you, someone with whom you share one language is a one talk. I learned about it from Tokpizin, which is, where's that?
Papua New Guinea.
Centered Papua New Guinea.
How are you learning about Tokpizin?
I had a book about it. I've not been down there, but I had a nice, I wish I could find it. I may have given it away or sold it or something. I may have given it to you.
I would be willing to bet if you gave it to somebody, you gave it to me, and I've got a little Tokpizin section in my personal library here. So I may be the holder of your Tokpizin book.
Anyway, I gleaned that fact from it. So it's paid off.
Now, vuke, Maja vuke paleni.
Manja.
We have another word.
I have another word for what?
Another word for kill. This one, though, is in. What's interesting is it is translated as passive.
Was killed by, right? But it need not be. And the Choiseles killed him.
Vuke. Baleni. Do we know anything about polyny if we separate this off as a...
I suppose that there's a stem pale, meaning to exhaust, use up, and finish off. All done. Yeah, we got that already. Vuke paleni. There you go. All done.
all done it?
We're stretching English with our rendering here.
Well, we use a lot of metaphorical ways to talk about the same topic in English too. If you were to watch a show about organized crime focusing on historic Italian Americans, they have a term whack, which means to kill. You can get very many, and there's a lot of extensions of this. I just gave one example I thought would be unoffensive and very common knowledge, but there are many ways to discuss this, and all done, wiped out. What manja and vuke mean is much more confusing, and vuke, we already want to say, is something to do with negative, but
right.
It's not clear what the vu would be. So I'm going to
Could
manja vuke for now.
Let me just give a guess that it might be the causative prefix va, and then some marker u, and then k. But that would be no, k would be negative.
Yeah, because we
Never
get
mind.
va u ake if our analysis is correct.
Ake, yeah, something.
Now, isn't
Manja? Manja occurs 3 times, by the way.
Well, let's search for manja and see if we can at least figure out manja.
Strike him down. I think it's going to be strike.
Okay, this is really cool. If that's true, it's a really cool sort of serial verbing. He took his shield and his battle axe. I bet manja is axe.
Okay.
Or the striking you do with an axe, like you say.
Yeah, look at all 3 examples. Manja near the end there.
Yeah.
There, the axe is not in line 127. She thought, she saw. The choiceable people strike him down. I can't remember things.
Yeah,
strike him down.
She thought the choiceable people strike him down. So I'd say manja is strike.
Do you want to just briefly? Well, I guess we got all the examples visible now. Tekwa nananange na manja moku. He took his shield and his battle axe with the hair. Okay, it's going to be perhaps both a noun for a kind of weapon and also a verb strike.
I believe you
a word like
this way in Robiana. So that's why I bring it up.
And we have the English word bludgeon comes to mind. It can be a verb, and I believe it's the name of a weapon.
You can use axe as a verb in English too.
True.
Let's see if this will give us any.
Cudgel. Kukubara.
Maho is axe.
Manja.
Apparently related to manja at all. I knew maho was axe, but I thought there was something else. By the way, maho and axe, mahoa, to cut it with an axe. I've seen this sort of thing pretty commonly in Austronesian. I believe I've seen it in the Borneo languages I studied as well, with axe. Although it was I don't remember it being cognate. Just the syntactic behavior was very similar. So that's why I was tempted to call manja axe here.
For sure.
And it can be used as a verb to strike as an axe. And this looks like a long series of. I bet these are 3 verbs in a row. So something like axe,
strike down, kill, strike down, or kill, all done.
Yeah, axe, strike, kill, or whatever, like something like this. And axe being a verb. And one of the interesting things, so I recommend some work by Dr. Hiroko Sato on this particularly. She's worked with several Austronesian languages heavily influenced by Papuan languages in the Bismarck Archipelago. Another one of Bob Blust's students, and my friend, of course. And I recall her giving a presentation on serial verb and serial verb-like things. I believe the language she worked on is Kalai-Kobe, though she's worked on several languages, so it could be one of the other ones. And they often combine verbs with, it's almost like English particles for phrasal verbs, but it could be seen as independent verbs too. So it'll be like chop, strike, axe, or like something like this. And I think it's even more common with the verb final ones that are, because SOV is the dominant word order in Tahiti. And Proto-Oceanic was, this is where Bob Blust wouldn't be happy with me. I feel there's a lot of evidence Proto-Oceanic was verb initial, though he would claim that the most conservative answer is verb medial. So just to defend his stance there. In any case, becoming verb final was due to extreme contact. And they use these particles with the verb final languages quite a bit, and it'll be like CV particles, CV particles. So this is behavior that makes sense for island Melanesia. Syntactic behavior. I'm not talking about the axing and things like this. I just mean that you can put these verbs together. We do something like this in English. Hadge Ross calls it particle pathways, and his famous example is back up in around the corner, there's some Cheerios. So back up in around, that's a lot of prepositions stacked together, but us English speakers see a pathway with it. So
I wouldn't say back is a preposition, but it's not our main concern today.
We'll take it up with Hadge. Shall we call Manja? Shall we call Manja?
I think I could easily. Let's wait till we get to that one with the shield.
Okay. Let's leave vuke then.
Just to make sure.
We'll search.
Yeah, I'd say so.
There's one vuke. It doesn't help us much. Did you say you're going to take it up with Hadge, or?
Yeah, I think I was going to say I think I can take him in a fight.
In a fist fight, but a syntax fight. Unlikely. All right.
He outweighs me by a bit. And so they called another game. So then
we get Makatio. So
all right, Zuke here. That we're using the C where the original had an apostrophe. Can you lowercase those Z's in this one and the following? So in the analyze tab. I bet you this Zuke, Uke is related to that Vuke somehow. And I would keep ZC together. Yeah. Uke dead. Vuke is kill. To make dead. Don't you think? Va Uke becoming Vuke.
I'm not against the idea. That's for sure. I don't think it's Va Uke though, because we're getting a Z.
No, not this one. In the previous sentence, we had a vuke. That one is vauke. I don't think a V is becoming a Z. Back in 7.5.
Of course. Oh my goodness.
Va we've seen written as an independent word, but when those vowels are there together, cause
it follows
to be dead.
Every pattern we predict. I'm gonna say kill. This is our real kill verb too. Finally. He went on and he was axed, killed completely.
That one is about, yeah.
So that
Zuke.
Vauke.
So the za is probably
Does za mean anything else for us?
Well, just indexing a noun somehow. I think it's gonna be the subject, him being dead. Azai nge garunu.
Yeah, I agree.
Garu. What's garu?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't have a guess on that. What rore though is the descending verb. They called him down. They downed him. Mutu makati. Oh, look at that. Here we get makatio.
All right.
One person and not mak.
Yeah,
so, okay, he did.
the first thing I noticed is that we're getting makati instead of maketio. But if zuke is zauke, then we get him dead. And that makes sense because it's in passive here. He was killed. So he's dead, basically.
Yep. After being killed, perfectly dead.
Maybe I should leave this as C, and then I can make this allomorph of za.
Yeah. That's what I'd recommend. Yeah.
And then it will recognize it down here.
Marv.
There we go.
And so again, allomorph just means it has a different form from some other thing, but it's basically the same piece, like our different plural markers, our phonetically different plural markers of English. All right, and then
Koreni.
Yep, we can identify. Called him down. They called down one more man, Mutu. What about Mutu? 5 hits, Mutu Makatio. And then Mutuhu Maka Tinoni. We're going to get Maka in the next one with Tinoni also.
So you've seen the full spectrum here.
So it probably, okay, when it was Make Tio, that one man was the subject going down. Here they're calling another man down, it's an object. And then in the following clause also, Makatio, Makatinoni, the man is the object. So I bet the e there in Make has something to do with it being a human subject.
You know that in some Oceanic languages, that person article is now the ergative marker. So just we should keep an eye out. This is a very interesting observation about subjects and objects. And dear listener, if you're wondering what ergativity is, well, I'm glad you're curious about my absolute favorite subject, but we're going to keep it brief and say that ergativity is when a subject of a transitive sentence is marked distinctly from either objects or intransitive subjects. And if you'd like to know more about that, we have some blog posts discussing transitivity. You can check it out.
That's true.
Now,
Mango Institute.
Garunu and Mutu, I don't know. I think
I'm doing a search for Mutu at the moment.
Yeah, I'm even going to look for Garunu. We get Garu twice, both Garunu. He too was killed.
Okay, I know what Mutu is. Yeah. Okay.
These are basically the same sentences. You get Mutu and Mutugu.
Yep. So if you like puzzles, I don't know, Sudoku and stuff like that, and you also like words, then this kind of work might be for you, viewer. To me, it seems more rewarding than just filling out a box with numbers. We get to use all our resources to figure out what each piece means. I have an idea for Mutu. How are you doing on your search?
For Mutu, my idea is another or more. What do you think?
Yeah, agree. Yeah. One more in addition.
Mutugu. Another thing was when we get it in a lot of with another. Mutu reva.
Yep.
So Mutu is more and Mutugu is another.
I don't know. I think the hu is that enclitic or suffixed hu root that we've seen elsewhere. I think it's
like the as thing.
something.
So Mutu, we're going to call it more, and Mutugu is a combination, and together means another.
Well, we have another in the English sentence, in the English free translation there, another one. One more. I would want to call it another almost, but let's say another. More to me gives the wrong idea. It's not more people. I mean, yeah, of course it is more when you call another person, but not comparing. It's not about comparing two amounts. Just in addition, an extra one more of the same. So
they went out again, and again could be another, like another time. Okay, so I am I'm going with another, and then we get down to Mutugu.
We have as who as is say, another say, or as we've got it. Makatinoni. And you were what was that other verb that we weren't sure about?
Garunu.
Yeah. It's also in the following clause. Is it call? I wonder if our gu speaking verb is a shortening of this garu, meaning like call and summon. Well,
Yeah.
then is nu a suffix or what? Okay, only these two occurrences for that string of letters. I
I'm
think it's
tempted to
gotta,
call the whole thing one word, saying "oo" is an echo
yeah,
vowel, and Gadun is call.
that would make good sense.
Even though I do think that,
Call summon.
I'm going to go ahead and go to the finder list. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and go to protoform indexes, look at Proto-Oceanic, and I'm going to look at K because we suspect this voiced velar fricative came from K.
Mm,
Was what if it's an
Karun.
Austronesian word?
Say what?
What if this is an Austronesian word? We could know.
These things have happened. Okay, we get karua, karut.
We'd be looking for something like Kadun.
I think so too.
Uh,
Be
Kadu.
an ooh, say, tell, speak. Love it.
Yeah. Wow, we found a lot of likely Ghanongga retentions here. We
You know
should
what?
send a report to Dr. Alex
Yeah,
Smith at the end.
we definitely should. And to that end, let me make a suggestion. Now we haven't got an entry for Harunu, but I would recommend that in the lexicon we include references to the ACD,
Agree.
and then it'll just be real handy to summarize when we're all done.
So I don't know what the new means, though. You know what? Let's see if this is a going back.
Azukau, Proto-Turkic. Oh, Trukik.
Yeah, I read it that way too.
Get out of here.
Is another
Flip
way,
back.
an older spelling of the language now spelled Chukese. So it's a Micronesian language. I don't know about Gadagid, Papua New Guinea. All right, so they only have 2 witnesses for this reconstruction, but Blust likely has in-depth knowledge of the sound changes in these 2 languages, which allow him to reconstruct off a few witnesses. Now, Garunu might change things if the N was really part of it. But yeah, let's go ahead and I'm just going to gloss this whole thing as call and not break it down anymore for now because I just don't know.
This karu is also a good etymon for our gu root.
That's right.
Ahua. These, like, well, as I was just saying, I think they're cognate verbs. Cognate, by the way, if you don't know, means having 2 or more words having a single origin, a common origin. Call him down. They called another man down. And there's a good note field. Yeah, you got your.
Should I put it in the definition or the notes field?
Let's put, I would just add maybe summon for the gloss, but for the note, let's say, let's copy this etymon, Karu 2. Ace, yeah, there's no page number on the AC. Oh, but there's a number. Look at that.
Yeah.
For those boxes there on the screen, either the 33 one or the 11 number, or both.
And you'd like to put this in the notes?
Yeah, yeah.
Likely a reflex of POC star.
Karu 2. Capital R U 2. I like to be as specific, precise as possible. Yeah, say till speak. I assume those are unique identifiers for reconstructed forms.
I don't
Which
know.
one?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I know that I'll
I
be
think
able
that's,
to find it in the OCD again if I look.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll leave it like this for now.
And then, yeah, once we've collected all this stuff, as I said, you can just scan through the lexicon or just send Dr. Smith the flex file. You can see that you can have all the context he wants, all the context we have.
Okay.
So they call it down. He too was killed. Oh, he too was killed. This is now the second guy being killed, right? He too was killed. And so they called down one more. Okay, I like the who here. It's one more, even one more in addition. for number
Yeah.
3. The
So
like again.
I think the Gurunu might be a little, or the Mutugu is a little bit different than Mut.
Yeah. Let's put it in the gloss field as yet another.
Right, that's pretty good. I like that.
Yet one more, Tinoni, and we know all the words. Plex knows them all. Fantastic. 7-7, it knows every word. Say how kill finished there. The village at Rinjombangara.
That.
They say. How kill, all of them.
Or this goo is
There
as.
Fantastic.
So that's how they killed it.
All that village of Rinjombangara.
That as how. So I think this might be. Analyze. There we go. Oops, back to gloss. I think that's how they're doing it. The rest look correct to me. Let's gloss another sentence. At this time, there lived a Nango woman, a Nango probably, not a voice stop there, voice filler stop. This time there lived a Nango woman, at Nango, a woman who was married into the Vitu tribe. Now, what's interesting is you get names like Maluku and Vitu in other places in Austronesia. So it's as if they know about pretty ancient stuff and actually are handing out, are preserving. So I think it might be called Valley Bitu. Yeah, northwest coast of West New Britain and Papua New Guinea. So Vitu is a New Guinea oceanic language, but what I hypothesize is going on with things like Maluku and Vitu is that these things held certain status in the stories of oceanic and were preserved in certain ways, but maybe not to where they became fossilized as we're the Vitu. This is Maluku. Now, when you look, you see things like Tahiti.
Sorry, where?
Tahiti,
okay.
Is, I guess, part of French Polynesia. In any case, Tahiti is cognate with Fiji. The Hiti and Fiji are cognate words. So that's a classic F to H for you. And Fiji did other stuff there. So Fiji and Tahiti are both like homeland names of important places. Now in Solomon Islands, they have a Polynesian outlier, meaning Polynesian groups that after they already went out into Eastern Polynesia, you could say, like, there was back migrations. So after they were already in the Central Pacific, at a certain point, they started migrating back and taking over some islands. And Rennell and Bellona are two islands in Southeast Solomon Islands that are together called one language, Rennell and Bellona, though I'm sure there's differences between the two groups. And they replaced an existing Austronesian group. And there's evidence from this from the substrate. They have words that came from the Austronesian group that they replaced, and they refer to the previous group in mythology as the Hiti. So these kind of things spread out for a long time. Another example of this can be seen with the name of the biggest island in the state of Hawaii, Hawaii, and the most prominent island in Samoa, Savaii. Now, I'm going to tell you that in the Solomon Islands, in Rennell and Bellona, what do you think they call the most prominent island? Hawaii. So
I don't think that equation is quite right. Tahiti and Fiji. Fiji, it seems, is from Viti in Proto-Central Pacific.
Viti?
Yeah, Viti. East or sunrise.
Let's check it out. Where did you find that?
Wiktionary.
Where in the Austronesian Comparative Dictionary?
No, Wiktionary.
Oh, I hardly trust that. Let's try to find it in this.
Okay.
Oh, we might not find a lot of Polynesian stuff. Maybe we should go to languages and look for Fiji and look for.
Can you just in the search window? Can you just put VITI? Will that do something?
Yeah, if I go to all forms, there's a way to get to all of them. The heck is it?
Proto form indexes, right? Turquoise one.
Yeah, I think this is all of them together. So I'm gonna look for Fiji. Oh, it's not going to be in the proto form.
Yeah, probably not.
What I'll do is I'll look for the proto form you just suggested.
VITI. As in vitiate.
Okay, so we might have to actually, I might have to crack an actual book to find this. And I might be looking in the wrong place is also part of it. So I believe this is a Central Pacific thing. So there's no Central Pacific reconstruction here. Though I believe there was a Proto-Polynesian point at some point. In any case, we'll go to the combined list. That might give us a better look. Now, one of the reasons I am dubious about this V claim, right, is that no proto-language had a V. So that is dubious to me. I'm going to look for Fiji. Okay, and this is giving us something. Oh, it's not quite what we're looking for, though. Are you looking for it still?
Sorry, I know I'm corresponding with someone.
Okay. Proto-Polynesian vocabulary. Let's see. Category Proto-Polynesian. So I've got a bunch of Proto-Polynesian reconstruction stuff here, but well, we'll see what they say about this right quickly. This just seems to have the kind of thing that, all right, so we already knew this kind of stuff. What we want is Central Pacific reconstruction, really? So Wiktionary, I can't see what I'm typing is the problem.
Why is that?
Because the zoom bars are in the way. Wiktionary, Fiji.
Fiji. Fiji. It is Proto-Central Pacific VT.
Is there any sort of source for this?
Well, let's get back to the text. I don't
Yeah,
know how
sorry, this could go on forever.
we can get down.
I'm dubious of this Proto-Central Pacific reconstruction.
I see.
Well,
Fiji.
also because, so yeah, I'm not going to get into it right now. I have some reasons to doubt. I'll continue forward with this, but I have some reasons to doubt it. But I am pretty confident Fiji and Fiti and Hiti are all connected there. In the Disney film about this topic, they are searching for a place called Te Fiti, and it's this mythical place, and that's why the name is common. And anyways, that's probably what's going on with Maluku and Viti, or Vitu, is that they are mythical names of things that were preserved in Oceanic. So V2, we can easily call this create new entry. We're going to capitalize and call it V2. It's proper noun. We can go ahead and call it a proper noun. It's a place.
You need to click the plus sign next to noun. You have it there.
All right, looking at
now we're getting the word for woman is there. What about Ani? This time they lived at Nango, a woman who was married into the V2 tribe, Varielava.
Now, Varielava is my guess for married.
Yes, looks positive.
What Reiko means is not clear.
I think it's very clear.
It's live?
No, do a search in the spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah, we already got live there. Suvere. Reiko. That's how they killed all the village in Gobangara. Oh, it's wrong.
That's not that one. Reiko there, a woman who was, that's where we are. So these three cells together there have it.
Oh my goodness.
It's woman.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Now,
especially because we have there Panango Maka Reiko, one woman at Nango.
Sure enough. Yeah, you're right. Well, I was really still stuck on historical linguistics. That's a pretty obvious one. Woman. Call it a noun. Now, I'm leaving it as woman for now, but I know that in Roviana, it's really important if someone is married or not, and you refer to one term for unmarried women, one term for married women, one term for unmarried men, one term for married men. And my understanding is that so I'm a Palambatu, I'm a married man. Once you're a Palambatu, you're always a Palambatu, even if your woman leaves you or something. So it's anyways, these details are important in their culture, the same way a little bit we do it in English with, if you're in elementary school, it's Ms. versus Mrs. And of course, we aren't doing this for men, is that right? But I think these days, I think even by the time I was a kid in school, which is a long time ago, in elementary school, I called every woman Miss, no matter what, because that was polite. I understand it may be not polite in 2023, and I don't know because I'm not a 10-year-old. But
in 9 or 10 years, you'll know.
In 9 or 10 years, I have a child, and all of the teachers there introduce themselves as Miss and Mr. So it's a politeness thing here where we are in Texas. All right, Varielava is a bit of a puzzling one. I think the Vadi is this. We have seen this already. We haven't. Well, I recognize it easily.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go ahead and spoil it. I know Vadi is, it looks like it's the causative. And heck, if you thought the re was plural, cause plural, you'll get to the distributed meaning. We could find this one in ACD, I believe. And it's directly cognate with Roviana. So I know for sure Vadi was at Proto-New Georgia, or whatever it was. Vadi was in action already. This word seems to be married.
Yeah.
Or marriage or wedding.
Lautandiria go belong to the V2 tribe. Ria Pavitu Narikoani. That woman. Ani.
She was married, go the V2. So she was married into the retreat. So I think Varilava is actually the verb for to marry.
Okay, something really cool. Do a search for LAV, if you would, in the spreadsheet. You'll get to line number 127. Now I've actually created that one there. And so the chief of the V2 was killed who had married into the Maluku. They were going to get Zelavia.
So you're getting the object agreement.
So Elav, right, object agreement, that's right. Elav is going to be the root for marry. Okay, that's only with two. We have other LAVs, probably unrelated words.
Lavata, which we already have as something else. Yeah, I think a lava is marriage. What the heck? I need to go to analyze. All right, there we go. All right, I'm going to separate the two. Now, I had been treating vadi like a prefix, although I don't think it matters too much if we mark it as a prefix or not. I'm going to create this new entry as marry, M-A-R-R-Y, is the verb, I believe. And I know that this vadi is a distributed meaning, similar to reflexive. But I don't think we'll find any evidence for this in our stories, and it's hard. I had to study Roviana a long time before it was clear that it wasn't just a simple reflexive. How did I know it was distributed from the beginning? Oh, a few people had studied Roviana before me and left notes, like Simon Corsten Oliver, and that was helpful. So, and other people study related languages, such as Hawava. I have the grammar by Davis on my shelf right now, which Bob Blust gave me. All right, let's see what they've got with Vadi, excuse me. Vadi tuturu, stupidly they stood themselves. Now, turu is stand. So this would be hard to derive a reflexive, or I mean, excuse me, reciprocal meaning from this.
They're not standing up, right?
They're not standing each other. It's just distributed standing, right? So actually, this text does give us reason to think of distributed rather than reciprocal. Man, there's heaps on the reef, they said to him. Distributed va gabara. So now the vadi is clear, right?
Vadi va gambara. There's heaps on the reef.
Gokolo is fella.
Is fella? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Gambara.
So
Pamati zarake.
we already have this as dist right there. Okay.
Just need to identify it as a prefix. So what you do in Flex, you type a dash. Beautiful.
Yeah, we'll leave this as marry without, because it might mean wedding. So they might be saying wedding went of the V2 or whatever. So I'm going to leave it as marry because I'm not sure yet what Vadilava changes the meaning, like as far as a gloss we should use in English. We see that it's different than when the chief and he's getting his third singular agreement.
That's right.
So I don't know if we can change the gloss right now from marry. So it does include information that's important.
Ani. Okay, lots of ani. 13. Beginning a word.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. Here, 2 times in a row, it comes after Reiko Ani. It comes after Reiko a couple times.
We could have that might be gender specific kind of a pronoun thing. Pronoun determiner.
I think that once we get to a certain point, we're going to have to make a list of all sentences with Ani, where every other word is understood, and try to derive a meaning here. We're probably going to have to go to the concordance in Flex to figure this out. So I'm down to just figure out the rest of the sentences and come back to Ani, Ada, these ones. And I like that we have a phonological hypothesis now. That might be really simple. Okay, the number woman. Okay.
Okay, we had Ani in the first text too, several times.
All right, now it looks like we have several sentences together here.
She saw the death of the village and her relatives. And so the woman said, gosh, okay, that's going to be in there too. Gosh, they've killed all my relatives. If there are no men, how do I get food? She said. Can you add a space after the first ellipsis there in the free translation? Beforehand, thank you so much. Viuruna.
Now we've got he said it, but we know that it's she said it. That's why I wanted to do this third singular gloss originally.
Very good. Just go over Okay. She said it. So Flex is now going to know 3 ways to translate Zahua. I don't know why it did. Oh, just click the check mark and then it'll show a 3 instead of 2. It
I
was
think
2
it'll
before.
two because we never did third singular. We always did he said it.
Okay.
Because originally it was only boys in the story, and so that's the way it worked. And I had suspected it was third singular, it would work for men and women, but we didn't have evidence until this sentence. So we can do he said, and she said according to the translation, and we'll know, but you and I know, and anybody who went and checked out the analyze would see it's third singular subject, not third singular masculine or feminine, that we're adding this information in for the sake of the reader, the English reader.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. If you analyze the there, do we have? Yeah, kill. The killing. It's killing. This one looks like a nominalization here.
Looks like a classic nominalization. So I'm going to call it death.
Well, I mean, it's not just death. It is slaughter. It's killing.
Well,
an intentional
the
act.
translation says she saw the death of the village.
Okay.
So it seemed pretty convincing to me. It's exactly the same order. I agree there was other things going on.
She saw the death. And her relatives, something. The village and her relatives, and so the woman said. Now the village. Tavitina. That's going to be her relatives, it seems. Tavitina.
So what's going on here is Tabiti is relative.
Yes.
Na is hers. And I think Tabiti, well, I'm going to put relative, but it probably means family member, which, I mean, what's the difference, I guess? But
in my notes, I also put the meaning near, and I'm just going to do a search. I don't recall why. That was many weeks ago. Somehow I felt moved to add that meaning.
Okay, let's see the previous ones. The fellow came back and sat with them by the edge of the fire.
Sitting near them?
Yeah.
Or edge?
So near ones, close ones is a better. Yeah, I think close ones is the literally her closeness, the people close to her. So I'm actually going to go. I'm going to add 2 senses. Is what we're going to do.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
So I'm going to click on it. We're going to have 2 senses, relative, and then close, right? So we go to our text and words. We'll go to our first story. Oh, let's go to gloss so we can find this quickly.
Actually, let's show off the concordance search.
Okay.
Show how that works. Second item. Just below the high. Yeah, you got it.
So we're gonna search Tavi-T. Search.
That's right.
Just right to it.
Sure. There we go. All of them.
Now I lost it
right.
very annoyingly. There it is back.
Tindi. Davitindi. Okay, we hadn't done it. So Ndi. Wait. Ndi can be abstracted off of there.
Yeah, but this is the wrong story. What I want them is
the last item there in the search. It's got the stories alphabetized.
And I'm selecting the new sense close. Okay. Nice. So we showed how to go back and fix a little problem in another one. And when you try to keep those things in your mind, it should help you keep the details in your story straight.
Mm-hmm.
So you have an idea what's going on.
Keep your story.
We got Pukapore before, right?
It's something okay. Yeah. Pore.
Oh. Now we're gonna have to add variant of gu. So this is clearly my relatives.
Yeah. QU should be Ngua. Is that really 2 pieces? Could it? Hard to say.
It has to do with direct or indirect Possession. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the lexicon.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm going to add in a new.
Yeah, you can do that by hand.
Yeah, there we go.
You.
I hit it. We'll see if it.
Oh, you want to just create a new entry?
Yeah. It's taking a second. There we go. I'm going to do foo, and it's going to be one singular dot pos, and it attaches syntactically differently than the other one, and has a different meaning. But for our sake, we're going to leave it like this.
Fascinating.
I'm going to go to texted words, and I'm going to then say this is a variant of
that and goo. All right.
Foo.
Yep. Unspecified. Yeah. Spelling variants. Yeah. Who knows? Hard to say. Okay. You still need to re-identify it. There you go. Down, down. Yeah. Sometimes you have to spend a couple minutes getting it just right. Another way you could do it is, yeah, I think your way is probably better, probably quicker. Why learn a slow? So that's going to be my relative. Singular, plural. What's the context here? Yeah, we saw puke pore in that one with smashing them to pulp. They couldn't hold that palm. And here we've got a pore. Is that right? Yeah, ara mbi pore. If there are no men.
How do I get food?
Do you see a word for food there? Kaki? Or is it mbari? So again, give me. So something again, give me. Vaniziu.
I bet B
could count.
By the way.
I think B is what?
If.
Nice.
And kaki is. Did we get kaki of avocado or kaka of avocado for the book name? Let me check real quick. If not, kaki is again, we're getting this same as you get maka make alternation, you get kaka kaki alternation before tio.
Wow. Kaki tio. Oh, just one hit for K-A-K.
K-A-K-I is kaki, as in kaki of avocado, more stories. So we know kaki is more.
More, okay. More meaning further, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when we go to gloss, hore must mean none or no.
Okay.
Let's go back to our sheets here and look for pore again and see if none or no would work for any of our stuff.
Just in puke pore.
When we get this in puke pore.
They couldn't hold that palm. They had no grasp of it, maybe. That's not unlikely, it seems. I would say that there's a connection there.
That none or no?
Some kind of negative.
So what we've mostly seen is sentential negation. This could be our nominal negation.
Nice. And English has that distinction too. Not is our sentential one. It goes in a verb phrase. But no, if it's in a noun. No people, no cats, no dogs.
And if puke is ability no, right? So
yes, that's great. Puke gets 3 hits. Oh, just with the name Pukera.
Well, when we go to analyze, shall we call pore no?
Let's do it.
Let's be bold. We can change our mind later if we find more other. We have die as no as well.
Different no, I believe.
Different kind of no. And speakers on the story. So
it would mean that.
This kind of example, we've seen that the two speakers telling different stories, their grammatical things are consistent with themselves, but not necessarily with the other storyteller. And this is one of the reasons why we chose to use the word Ghanongga, because it's easy from the outside to say, all this is Kubokota or all this is whatever. We're just letting the speakers identify themselves. There's likely some dialectal differentiation on the same island between people who speak the same language. the same way there is here. Or if a better example is if you look at England, that's the greatest diversity of English dialects. We think
That's why it's been the longest.
This is the point. Wherever some community sits the longest, they grow the greatest diversity of dialects, and these dialects can eventually become what we would call other languages when they cross the line of intelligibility. I can no longer understand you, you can't understand me, it's a new language now. So, and I bring this up because it's not common knowledge from the United States, where most people will do a so-called British accent for fun or for a TV or whatever. But there's no such thing as a British accent. There is standard accent. What's that?
There's no such thing as the British accent. There are many of them.
Yes, this is my point. There are many. So probably on Ghanongga, people have probably been speaking this language at least 1,000 years, maybe 2,000 years, something like this. Maybe longer, because it's not easy to know the time depth, but we would expect pretty strong markers of differentiation among the different communities. So it's okay if there's multiple negations. Our flex file can actually handle all of this at once simultaneously. All right, I think we better put a pin in it for now. Oh, well, there's one more word I really must, and we'll do one more sentence because there's one word.
Yeah, I saw two. Mbangara, is that the one?
Yeah, that's right. So we go for V2 so that I can quickly find where I was. And the chief of the V2 gave a war cry. So this word bangara, we've seen it in Rinjo bangara.
Yep.
We'll call it chief. Although, how do you spell chief? I-E.
H-I-E-F, yeah.
One of the important things to know about terms like chief and such is that you might have felt like, oh, there's Native American chiefs. That wasn't a Native American word.
French word.
The French word. It is the same word as chef, right?
It is, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so in Portuguese,
change within French. It's a reborrowing into ours.
In Portuguese, the word for boss is chefe. So I believe Spanish jefe. So it's just another word for boss, even though it's been given this kind of connotation in English, at least in modern times, that it has to do with certain indigenous groups or whatever. I have heard people in Solomon's call Kolombangara, Kolo meaning water, water king, not water chief. So all of these things are like English concepts being imposed on other languages, or they're trying to impose a Roviana concept on English, however you want to look at it. And there's compromises. All right, now with that, I think...
Okay, well, we'll save it for next time.
Yeah, I think we should save the rest for next time. Our meeting time is running up. But I'm really excited to keep working. And I don't know which installment we're on. Several in.
I think today was the 14th. Because last was the 13th.
Whatever. Maybe 15th though. But
it'll stay up above.
It'll stay in the title. The title will keep track.
That's right.
And we look forward to learning more about Ghanongga with you next time. Bye.
Adios.